Hello and welcome to Arsenal Domination, where it is match day. And despite the disappointment of the weekend, to say the least for Arsenal, this is a really important match. It's a must-win game for Arsenal, certainly a must-not-lose game, because they are playing Forest, who currently and surprisingly lie third in the league. Um, they, you know, they are currently 6 points behind us. If we lose today, that goes to three. But if we win today, that goes to nine. And I think winning today, therefore, is going to be really, really important because a win for Arsenal today does give that buffer, and we don't want to get caught into that very tight group going for the top four, potentially five, depending on how many places are allocated to the Champions League this year. We saw Villa lose last night and drop to 10th. I mean, that shows just how tight that sort of area is. So must win game tonight for Arsenal, and it's going to be important too because they've undoubtedly been poor in the last couple of weeks, and that's not a surprise. You're missing your entire starting front three. It's going to be more attritional. You're not going to have that spark that you might otherwise have. So that's to some extent very understandable. But the performance against West Ham, obviously, despite that, was unacceptable. Probably one of the poorest under Mikel Arteta. And Arsenal need to bounce back from that, just for their own sake, as well as the fans. There's understandably a lot of frustration around at the moment. I think it's slightly overdone, but I understand it. And something needs to lift both the players and the fans. And a win tonight against third place Forest away from home, which is by no means an easy task, would help do that. Forest will come into the back of this game also in poor form. They've lost their last two. Coming off the back of a 7-0 win as well before those two games. They're starting to not get found out, but the league is starting to catch up with them a little bit. They've been running hot, but they have been really, really good this season. Chris Wood exceptional, but they've been very, very sound. Across the entire team, and it's been helped by the fact that they have very few injuries this season. Tonight, they will be at full strength. Callum Hudson-Odoi is fit, apparently. The only player they have missing is their backup goalkeeper, so they will be at full strength. I was looking at the forums, and it sounds like they are going to go, or fans expect them to go with their usual formation against us and their usual setup. Just looking here, and I just wrote this down. It looks like the consensus for Forest is going to be Sells in goal, Milenkovic, Murillo, Morata, Aina, Anderson, Dominguez, Williams, Gibbs-White, Elanga, and Wood is likely to be their 11. But I just wonder, Arsenal really struggled against the sort of low block that West Ham set and the back three they set. Understandably so when you haven't got a number 9 and you've got really one sort of informed senior forward in Trossard, and even his form isn't brilliant, it's not outstanding. Whether they might switch to that, they have played a back three a few times this season. I wonder if they might just look at that and go, do you know what, that might be the way to really nullify Arsenal's threat to almost nothing, as we saw against West Ham. And Forest might feel they had the attacking ability to go and score against an Arsenal side that still defends very, very well. It's still one of the best defences in the league in Europe, despite the horrific goal they conceded against West Ham at the weekend. So I just wonder if they might do that. I think from an Arsenal perspective, as I say, it's a must-win. And in some ways the pressure's off, and I wonder if that means that they release the shackles a little bit. I think the thing I'm most critical about Mikel Arteta this season has been his conservatism. He's been very, very conservative in the way he set the team up when things are difficult and when he's missing attacking options. And I wonder if he might just release the shackles a little bit today. I think that's going to be crucial. We're missing that spark, and we've missed that spark for a few weeks, and we've been too slow, too predictable, too ponderous. And against sides that can get themselves back and defensively set well, and Forest can do that, you need to be quicker. You need to move the ball faster. And I think that's what Arsenal will need to do again tonight. I've spoken about that a lot this season. I think that's going to be crucial. Odegaard's poor form is worrying from that perspective. I wonder if he was rushed back a little bit too quickly. I don't know. But he's really struggled this season. He's down on 3 assists, and we know he's a much better player than that. He needs to step it up tonight. Wanyeri needs to continue to be the spark, because I don't see it coming from anywhere else. He apparently is going to be fit tonight. He hobbled off with cramp at the weekend. He's got a nice, decent rest after this one, so I think he will start. But that's where the spark is going to come from if it's coming from anywhere. But Arsenal are devoid of options here for that sort of creative spark. As I say, Wanyeri does need a little bit of protection. We need to be aware of that. But as I say, I don't think there's an alternative to him starting. I don't think there's an alternative to Odegaard starting, who arguably should be dropped on form. And that's where we are right now. And, that is what it is right now. There's not a lot we can do. But Arteta's going to have to do something. And I think he's really got two options. I think the option he will go for formation wise will be to continue with the 4-3-3. I know he says formations, he doesn't have a formation. He does, that's how he set up. And then it's a question of Moreno or Sterling up top. I think that's his only choices for the number 9. I don't really want Sterling wide right with Nwaneri up top. I think that would be the wrong call. So I think that's a direct choice there. The other option is to switch to a sort of back 5, back 3 with 2 wing backs, whatever way you want to call it. I think that would look like Tierney at left back, Calafiori, Gabriel, and Saliba as a centre half with. I think Tim would have to start at right back. I don't think Ben White has a minutes in the legs to go for that more demanding wing back system here. I think if this was maybe another week on, he might be fit enough to start. But I think that would have to be what you do in that situation. But I actually think Arsenal will be unchanged, which sounds odd to say when you've had such a poor performance. But I think the lack of options mean it's going to have to be unchanged, with one exception. Obviously, Miles Lewis-Skelly suspended, so left back Calafiori would come in for Miles Lewis-Skelly. But otherwise, I think it will be unchanged. And I suppose the thinking, if you did that, would be, right, boys, you let us down at the weekend, go and fix it tonight. But I don't think it's that. I think it would be a question of, what else can I do? And I just don't think he wants to go for that formation change. I could be wrong, but therefore I would expect the side tonight to be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori for the suspended Miles Lewis-Skelly, Partey, Odegaard, and Rice in the midfield, and then front three of Wanyeri, Moreno, and Trossard. Maybe he brings in not Raheem Sterling, Jorginho into midfield for Partey, but I don't think that's what will happen. So I think it will be pretty much unchanged. But either way, the performance has to be much better tonight. It's a really, really important game. My gut feel is it's going to be a 1-1 draw. That wouldn't be the end of the world in terms of consolidating your position. But I think really Arsenal need the win. They need that win, as I spoke earlier, for lifting the mood, lifting the players, and creating that extra buffer. But anyway, guys, that's what I think the side will be. As I say, pretty much unchanged, with the one change for the suspended Miles Lewis-Skelly, and I think it'll be 1-1. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will be back either tonight or tomorrow with a review of the game. Thanks all for listening. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.